Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mayoral candidates. My name is Marlin Anderson. I'm the president of Sunset Park Area Homeowners Association and the organizer for this event. The first thing I'd like to do tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a flag over here. Am I right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, February 15, 2011, we have here the South Tampa Candidate Forum, Mayoral Forum this time. We had the City Council Forum 2 weeks ago. This forum, co-sponsored by 16 South Tampa neighborhoods, is the largest neighborhood forum in the city. Coupled that with the fact that South Tampa voters have historically the highest voter turnout in the city, makes this a very important event. I'd like to thank the candidates for throwing their hats in the ring. I'd like to thank Jeff Patterson of News Channel 8 for agreeing to serve as moderator tonight. And I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to come out here and listen to the candidates and find out more about their views. The next thing I'd like to do is introduce political candidates from other races in the audience. And I'll just call them out if you could just stand and wave when I call out your name. The first one is Susan Long, candidate for City Council District 2. Susan, she's in the back there. Okay, Tom Slaughter, candidate for City Council District 1, citywide. Tom Slaughter, is he here? Okay. Kelly Benjamin, candidate for City Council District 6, West Tampa, and part of South Tampa. Oh, he's out in the foyer. Okay. Joseph Citro, candidate for City Council District 4, South Tampa. Joe? Okay. Dennis Myers, candidate for City Council District 4, South Tampa. Must be outside. Chris Hart, and he's District 3, citywide City Council. Chris. Okay, great. Thank you to all of you. And also in the audience we have former District 4 City Councilman John Dingfelder. Where is John? Okay, so many of the people in the audience here tonight are not only voters, but are opinion leaders and role models. You're taking responsibility for your government. You're here and taking your valuable time and trouble to find out more about these mayoral candidates. And I'm sure that you're going to go back to where you come from and advise your friends, your associates, and family members as to who to vote for mayor. So I commend all of you for doing that. In these troubled financial times, I think it's pretty clear to all of us we're going to need a mayor that's got vision and also political courage to make and execute decisions that are going to be unpopular to some people. That is going to happen. And for example, I'm sure many of you heard about this recent Leroy Collins Institute report that described that our local governments have promised more in retirement benefits than they can afford. The city of Tampa is no exception to that. It's happening all over the state of Florida. According to a recent Tampa Tribune article, city taxpayers are projected to contribute almost $20 million this year to Tampa's police and fire pension benefit fund. Combine this situation with decreasing revenues, and the next mayor is going to be faced with some very tough decisions indeed. Before we get started with the forum, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the co-sponsoring South Tampa neighborhoods, without whom we would have nowhere near the turnout that we get at these forums. And I'm going to call out your name, and if you could just stand up and also wave like the candidates. The first one I'd like to acknowledge is Spencer Cass from Virginia Park. Spencer, back there. Thanks, Spencer. And Spencer also helped contribute, made a big contribution to help pay for this, because there are obviously costs associated with these events. Ann Pittman from Parkland Estates. Margie Fraley from Culbrook Bayou. Al Steenson from Gandy Sunday South. Oh, there he is, okay. Nathan Palcott from Palmacia. Vicki Collier from Bayshore Gardens. Vicki's over here, she's on the selection committee. Andrea Augustine from Bayshore Beautiful. Jay Lenny from Colbert Heights. Jay's in the back there with the video. Jeff Hunt from New Suburb Beautiful. Mike McNabb from Palmacia West. Jerry Frankhauser from Bayside West. Jerry's around here somewhere tonight. There's Jerry. Tom Kester from Swan Estates. Tom is over here. He's also on the selection committee. Sally Flynn from Ballast Point. Sally, okay. Steve Elton from Belmar Shores. And Jill Buford from Port Tampa. So that, if you look at the map, that pretty much covers the whole peninsula except for the Air Force Base. There's a few neighborhoods we didn't get, but we got pretty much all of them. Now the other thing is that this is all volunteer activity, and we have various volunteers I would like to acknowledge that helped make this thing happen, because obviously I couldn't do this all by myself. And so here they are again. I'm going to mention, we have the sorting committee, which is Vicki Collier of Bayshore Gardens, Tom Kester of Swan Estates, who I've already introduced. Thanks. And the third person is Debbie Lundberg of Sunset Park. She's around here somewhere. She'll be joining them shortly. The timekeeper, we have Beth Schatzberg of Colbert Bayou. Beth? Oh, she's up front. Okay, good. Ari Fitzgerald of Sunset Park. Now she had to go to another event tonight, but I want to give a special thanks to Ari, because Ari goes to this particular church, and she arranged for us to get this facility, and so a lot of thanks to Ari. We have Jay Lenny of Colbert Heights, who's a videographer. He's in the back there. So Jay. Lisa Williams of Sunset Park, food, water, and decorations. So Lisa. Okay. And Carrie Gramale of Sunset Park, publicity, decorations, and also usher for tonight. Okay. Ed L. Sasser of Sunset Park is also serving as usher, picking up all the index cards and stuff. Cynthia Schellberger of Colbert Heights, that will be doing photography. So Cynthia's around here somewhere. Okay. Mark Schellberger of Colbert Heights also will be doing photography tonight. And lastly, Michael Lundberg of Sunset Park is doing security. Now I did want to mention someone out there in the hall that you may already be aware of this. First I heard about it. Leslie's Bakery has mayor cookies. And with a different cookie for each candidate. And so you go there and you buy a cookie, and they keep it on a board. They keep a chart as far as which cookie is sold the most. So anyway. All right, so I'd like to also thank my friend Brett Miller, who's a 13-year veteran of producing candidate forums. He gave me invaluable advice on organizing and running candidate forums, so thanks to Brett also. Okay. My last acknowledgement is to the administration of St. Mary's Episcopal Church for the use of this beautiful facility for this candidate forum. As you can see, it's got lots of room. It's modern facilities, recent construction. So thank you, St. Mary's, so much for allowing us to use this facility. Okay, so we're just about to get started with the actual forum, and next I'd like to introduce Jeff Patterson of News Channel 8. He's the moderator for the forum, and Jeff is going to explain the ground rules for the forum and get the forum started. So Jeff. Great.
Thank you very much, Marlin. Just as one ground rule, I'd like to ask everybody in the room, please, to silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate so we can hear what the candidates have to say and pay attention to exactly how they're answering all of these very nice questions. I'll also tell all of you, if you haven't seen them so far, they are passing out index cards. and we'd ask you to write down a question that you feel would be appropriate for these mayoral candidates to answer, something that will pertain to their job if they are elected to the office of mayor for the city of Tampa. Not a question of international politics or a question of national significance, but something that relates to Tampa would be nice. And we have our sorting committee over here who will go through those and put them into order for me. We will have our candidates give their opening remarks. We appreciate all of you candidates being here. You have an incredibly busy schedule of all of these candidate forums and everything else you've got going on in this election. We appreciate your time tonight. It is very important for all of the people who are attending to be able to make an informed vote. For your opening statement, you have 2 minutes, and I'd like to make sure that all of the candidates are aware of Beth Schatzberg, right down here in front. Beth is a veteran of these candidate forums and very good at her job. She will hold up the signs for you to let you know how much time you have remaining for opening statements, which are 2 minutes, as I said. You will have 1 minute for each question, and I have a list of 8 prepared questions that have been put together by the neighborhood associations. We will ask you, and then we will move on to the questions that have been posed by the wonderful folks in our audience. So that being said, why don't we begin all the way down the end on the left with Mr. Turanchik. Give you 2 minutes for your opening statement, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for attending tonight. This is an important election. South Tampa is incredibly important for our city, and it's a phenomenal place to live. I, of course, do live in South Tampa. I have been involved in public and private affairs for 20 years. I think most people here know that I've always had a pretty clear vision for our future. I've always been able to reach and willing to reach to places and to heights that others might not have thought possible. I led the effort to save 35,000 acres of environmental lands. When the arena issue came up, I said it needs to be downtown. 20 years ago, I proposed a regional rail transit system. That model still makes sense to me to this day. I worked on solving our water wars. We were losing lakes and wetlands and had fought for 50 years. I was the chairman of Tampa Bay Water that worked out the resolutions of those. Tampa needs visionary leaders. We need to go beyond what we know and what we think we can do. I have a very specific set of plans, and I call it a vision that works. My priorities first is in the area of jobs. My focus is on making it easy for us to invest in ourselves. We can't get help from Tallahassee or DC. I think they're probably broke. I don't think Microsoft's going to move here tomorrow. So my plan focuses on day one of making it easy for people to invest in themselves, to convert foreclosed houses into homes, to make energy efficient investments, to make it easy for new businesses to open our own commercial corridors. I put a big emphasis on building a great, affordable bus and rail transit system. We need that for our future. And we have to have a lean, efficient, ethical government, because in this 21st century, we don't have the resources that we used to have. I know we're going to talk an awful lot about those things today, and I look forward to the questions and the further discussions during this forum. Thank you very much for coming here tonight.
Reverend Scott.
Okay, thank you. Let me just thank everybody for being here tonight and for hosting this. It's my pleasure to be here. Please understand that this is a very important race. This is a race about selecting a leader who is willing to make bold and tough decisions and to be a champion for the city of Tampa. I have proven myself as a dependable, fair, and principled leader by my peers who elected me 3 terms on both the county commission and the city council. I've served 14 years total in public office, and my peers recognize my leadership ability to be able to bring people together and to move forward. And so I have a vision for Tampa, which entails 1, job creation, 2, dealing with our transportation challenges, and thirdly, our budgetary challenges. In terms of job creation, I think it's very important for us to understand that we have to look at beginning first with the existing businesses inside of Tampa, here in Tampa. Most of the candidates talk about job creation or talk about attracting new business, but I think you got to start with what's here before you begin to attract new businesses, because it's important for us to understand that we establish a business, what I call a business retention clearinghouse, and do an assessment of how we can assist and help these businesses now so that they can grow and expand. That's very critically important. So when we attract new businesses to Tampa, then they can see that we're not just bringing them here and forgetting about them, but we're going to continue to work with them so that they can grow and it gives employment for our residents. Also, we will look at our existing ordinance and codes and regulation, and we review those to see do they provide any impediment to the existing businesses. The third thing I think is important on the job creation is to work with our partners, ACC, University of South Florida, our neighborhood association, downtown partnership, so forth and so on. She holding up a sign that says STOP means stop.
Thank you, Reverend Scott. As a member of the St. Rose Development Association, I forgot to, I walk softly, but I forgot to bring my big stick, so I appreciate you stopping on time. The next person is Dick Greco.
Thank you all for putting on the forum, and thank you for attending. You're going to be hearing basically the same thing from 5 candidates. All of us have been in politics. All of us know what needs to be done. It's who can do it the best. There's no question. I've been around for a while. I was on the city council when I was 29 years old. Been mayor 4 times. The last time I got elected without opposition. I hope that translates into the fact that people liked what I did. Each and every time I was there, the city improved immensely, and that's not something I'm making up. That have booklets full that anybody can read if they'd like. I took over the first time. This city was very different. If you wanted a street paved, you signed a petition. That's how we got everybody that had an apartment with somebody's friend. We changed all of that. Police officers in those days made $5,000 a year, bought their own gun. There was a time when there was no one on the list. And on and on and on. Big changes took place. 21 years later, after being with DeBartolo over 21 years, one of the biggest builders in the country, and came back. Came back to a lot of change. Came back to where the economy was kind of going downhill like today, not quite as bad. When I was mayor last time, the unemployment rate was the lowest ever, 2.9%. You know what it is today? 12.5%. Let me say to you that this year's budget was balanced by $32 million in shortfall. Is what we had. We balanced that from unexpended funds and from $12.3 million in reserve money. This is going to be very, very difficult to fix. You can't buy experience, my friend. Everybody's going to talk about jobs and this and that. I've created hundreds of them. I can list them. Not that here's my plan. We have got a lot of problems that we must solve this time. You will know exactly what we're doing. I've got people like John Sykes, David Straz, that are going to go over the budget that we affecting me and the rest of you, so you'll know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It is absolutely wonderful to be here for several reasons. First of all, neighborhoods is where I started. So I'm obviously going to be happy to share some of my ideas and my plans with other neighborhoods. One thing that makes me unique as opposed to the rest of the candidates up here is that I started as a community leader. I started as a neighborhood servicing pharmacist in a small community in Seminole Heights, and it was actually that neighborhood that elected me their Civic Association president and then encouraged me to run for city council in 1999. We were successful, not me. We were successful, and ever since then, from 1999 till now, I have served 8 years as your city council member and 4 as your South Tampa County Commissioner. My logo says for all of Tampa, and I mean it. And let's talk about the component there in that logo that affects neighborhoods and addresses neighborhoods. Neighborhoods will be a key partner of the Ferlita administration. When I tell you that we are going to continue lots of the things that engage neighborhoods in partnerships with downtown, I absolutely am telling you directly. Marlin Anderson attended a roundtable that I structured a few weeks ago. And he said, Rose, are you going to continue that roundtable philosophy that Mayor Mayoral is? Absolutely, but not just that. Other things so that you can engage me in letting me know what your priorities are. And I don't make promises I can't comply with, but I will tell you that will help me get through the budgetary constraints and listen to the priorities you want. There will be lots of things. Let me just give you an example right now of what we're going to do. We are going to establish, I thought we had 2 minutes. I do? That's 30 seconds? Okay. We will establish things like a PGM store, where it'll be an equal playing field. You will have documents that are already scanned, so you can get them. You don't have to be a developer and somebody who represents them. We will also have a change of culture. We will have public servants, not civic servants, civil servants. And I will tell you, Marlin, your first comment was true to my feeling. I am absolutely capable, consistent, and committed. And also the courage component we will talk about later, but you sure know that it's there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff, and it's awfully good to be here among so many friends. I see so many familiar faces around this room tonight. So many of you that have worked so hard to make your neighborhoods vital and vibrant and engaged in this process. I can remember 20 years ago when I started with Sandy Friedman, neighborhood empowerment wasn't the thing to talk about. But we got started, we engaged you, we helped to grow you, we institutionalized you, and out of that came the genesis of what we see here today, which is neighborhoods around this community that are at the table, that are engaged, that are involved. I can remember taking my desk, and some of you remember this, and parking it in your front yard to invite your neighbors to come out and talk about some of the things that were on their mind. It was a great experience, just as the 25,000 doors that we've knocked on over the last 9 months. And I will start this campaign, or end this campaign the way I started it, merely as a dad. Many of you know that I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I know very clearly what's at stake in this race. What's at stake in this race is not past glory. What's at stake is the future. If we want our kids to come home here someday, we've got to be more competitive than what we are. We've got to find ways to create opportunities and transition from the old economy to the new economy. If we're going to compete around the world, we've got to do things a little differently. Strategies of the past are not a blueprint for the future. This is a very different environment. It is a very different economy. It takes a very different skill set to get us to that next level. Ultimately, we know what this choice is all about. It's a simple choice. It's a choice between doing nothing, or worse yet, going backwards, or moving forward to a future that we've never known. A future that encompasses all the great potential in this city. The city that attracted me 25 years ago when we were the place in America that everybody talked about. That's what this race is all about. I look forward to this discussion tonight. It's good to see everybody.
We will have 1 minute now for the answers. I have 8 questions here. We'll pose them one at a time for you. And to be fair, we're going to rotate our starting point. So we'll begin with this question with Tom Scott moving towards me, and we'll finish this time with Mr. Turanchik on the end, and we'll keep rotating as the questions move on. And as Mr. Buckhorn was kind enough to remind me, the closing remarks, each candidate will have 2 minutes for the closing remarks as well, so that you know where we are on the time. All right, our first prepared question. In an era of declining property values and declining revenues, how will you as mayor maintain essential services while balancing the budget? Reverend Scott.
Thank you. I think that when we talk about the budget, you have to put everything in context, but I think a key component of that is moving to what I call service level analysis. Service level analysis is where each department, by department, outline what they do, how long it takes them to do, and you attach a cost to that service. Let's go a step further. Not only do you attach a cost to that, but now you engage the neighborhood, the public, in that debate so that you are aware of what it costs, and you will have input into whether you want, how many times, let me give you an illustration. Let's say for garbage pickup or sweeping your streets. If it costs, let's say $50 for each service, and you say I want it 3 times a week, then you know exactly what that cost is. And so in the process, what service level analysis does, it finds efficiencies, and at the same time, it helps you to be engaged and be involved, and you tell the mayor what you want for your neighborhood. So that as we move forward, we put that in the budget, and then we submit that to city council.
As I said earlier, a $32 million shortfall is a lot of money, gang, believe me. We're going to go over that first and know exactly where we're going. Certainly you're not going to cut police and fire. You're not going to cut the things you need. You've got 4,300 employees. Those people have to understand what their fate's going to be. A lot of people are angry today. They're lashing out. They're even lashing out at what a cop makes. Would you be one for the money? I'm going to look at every single department. If we have to merge departments with others, we'll do it. We're looking at the county and other things. Anything that we can save money on. They've cut a lot already. We have to see exactly what that is, what's left. Vital services will be the last thing you'll cut, of course. But you will know exactly what's going on because I'm going to have the best minds in Tampa telling not only me, but telling you. And on a daily basis if necessary. This is where we're going, this is why. This is going to be a hard time to get through. It's easy to make promises, it's very difficult to deliver them. I've always delivered them. This is going to be the hardest time of my life or anybody else up here.
Ms. Ferlita.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously in generalities, we have to reduce expenses and we have to grow the economy. That's a given. However, where I'm going to focus on immediately is the pension package that the employees of the city of Tampa get. A long time ago, public employees used to have a lower competitive package. And now what has happened, it has become inflated. It is not competing with the private sector, it is leaving it in the dust. We have to change that. That is not something that we can allow to continue. Some of those things I will be able to do immediately by executive order, and I will do them now, as soon as you elect me in. We will do those now. What we have to work with the legislature with, then fine, we'll work on that. But overall, those are some of the biggest issues that we need to look at immediately, and then we'll have some longer-term plans.
Mr. Buckhorn.
Jeff, thank you. And we can't cut our way out of this economic ditch, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the government that I will inherit, that Mayoral has crafted over the last 8 years, has reduced the city employees by about 500 folks. Just to give you an example, you cannot cut essential services, police and fire, for example. Our police department since 2003 has reduced crime upwards of 60%. Do you know what that means? That means there's 100,000 less of us as victims over the last 7 or 8 years. That department is lean, it's mean, it's aggressive, it is doing a great job fighting crime. But ultimately the task is to find ways to grow the economy and grow government. That's how you get out of this ditch. And how do you do that? You do it by streamlining the permitting process. We are known around the country as a difficult place to do business. That has got to change. The only way that we get out of the ditch is to add value to the tax rolls, and that is to encourage people to come here and build and to grow and to prosper and to create wealth and to create jobs. Ultimately, that is what will solve this problem. The short-term cuts are exactly that, short-term cuts. We need more sustainable jobs and a sustainable economy.
Mr. Turanchik.
We lost $9 billion in tax value in 3 years. $9 billion. There's no way around that. We will privatize, we will eliminate non-core functions, we will consolidate, and if that's not enough, we'll have to reduce compensation. Now I know for people who've been in public sector service a long time, the notion that public employees reducing compensation may be an unfamiliar concept. But I'm in private business, and I laid off 3/4 of my employees 2 years ago when firefighters were getting an 8% pay increase. The biggest cost of government is people. And the people have to keep doing their job. When someone has a heart attack, someone has to show up. When someone breaks in your house, someone has to show up. So we're not going to be reducing core functions of government. But to meet our budget, I think it's probably inevitable that for some period of time there's going to have to be a reduction in compensation, because that's what every one of us have had to do. Government can do it too.
All right, thank you. To continue our rotation, we'll begin this question with Dick Greco, move to Rose, and then so on. And this is a question that has come up a lot in these candidate forums, I know, but would you support a complete ban on panhandling on all city streets as they passed last year in St. Petersburg? Mr. Greco.
It comes up at every forum, and when you're walking down the street and everything else, people ask you that question. The answer to it is yes. To expound on it in a second, we have over 10,000 identified homeless people in this county. You don't want to answer, let's get rid of those people type thing. I hope to goodness we can do something to help many of them. It's a terrible time, a tough time, but if a panhandler can't be there, neither should a fireman with a boot or anyone else selling wares or whatever. is not an appropriate place to be. Yes, it should be banned totally. Let's understand that but for the grace of God, that could be one of us. In the 10-county area we're living in, there's 17% of the households are worried about their next meal. 17%. I've never seen that in my life. This is a terrible, terrible time. There's 1 million meals a month given to people in that 10-county area that surround us, including us in it. Yes, they have to go. Hopefully we can do some things to help them in the future, and I have a number of ideas. Can't solve them all tonight.
Ms. Ferlita.
Absolutely, we should ban panhandling, but we should do it on a regional basis. It's not as leadership or lack of leadership. Send it from St. Pete to here to Plant City to Temple Terrace. Absolute total ban, not just in the main arterial roads throughout the entire city. And also the second part is we have to take care of homeless. I took a pretty big hit when I was threatened on the county commission that if I would support the 10 city, then they would work very hard against me to become mayor. Those are the choices you have to make as a strong leader. And also we need a compassionate side to government. Make sure you work with the homeless and make sure that you do something with social services and those type of things. Firefighters, we can't say yes, you can stay there and somebody else can't. So we will work with them in properties or auditoriums or whatever we own to do some fundraising for the charities. That will take care of the public safety issue, and it is also an economic development situation where people coming to the city are not going to be too impressed. It's different than homeless now, ladies and gentlemen. The other day I saw a gentleman standing at the corner with a sign, and I guess he was taking somebody else's shift. So he held up the sign and it said, "Please help, God bless, I'm pregnant." I think something wrong.
Mr. Buckhorn.
Rosie, I got an even better one. I was at the corner of west of Dale Mabry and Kennedy Boulevard, and there was a panhandler there holding up a sign, and it was actually constructed on the back of one of Dick's signs. So at least we now know what the hand is for. I almost took his picture and said this was Dick Greco's position on panhandling,
You have 5 fingers or one.
I think you're going to find most of us in agreement here. It's got to stop. It's a health issue. It's a safety issue. It's an economic development issue. That doesn't negate the responsibility of the mayor, even though the city doesn't necessarily get involved in social issues. That is handled by the county. But we have a moral obligation to speak out on homelessness. Panhandling is symptomatic of a much larger question. We all understand that. We've got to take a role in terms of crafting a regional compromise. You can't just move panhandling from one county to the other. It's got to be done in a holistic fashion.
Mr. Turanchik.
In November of 1991, as a county commissioner, I voted to ban panhandling on all public rights of way within 4 feet. The city's never done it. The reason we did it 20 years ago is because it's not safe. It's just that simple. It's not safe. A week ago Thursday, I participated in the homeless count. And the first 3 people I ran into were economic refugees. They're construction workers that had no jobs. We need a mayor that's going to help working people get back to work. That's why I framed very specific programs to go in place on day one. Houses to homes, to make it easy to rehab, buy, and to convert a foreclosed house into a home. Let's Joe the plumber, Ed the roofer, Randy the electrician back to work. Energy conservation, all these sorts of things helps people get back to work. There's a lot of complex pieces of this, but we need to help people get back to work, and a lot of the issues on the streets will take care of themselves.
Tom Scott.
Thank you. First, let me help you understand the process. It is not an executive matter. It is a legislative branch matter. Only the city council can pass an ordinance banning panhandle, not the mayor. Believe me, if the mayor could do it, she probably would have done it by now. So I want to be clear on that. Second thing I would point out is because I've served on city council, 2 weeks ago, I brought before city council through our city attorney a partial ban banning all panhandling on your major arterial roads. It could not come within 30 feet of the intersection. It is 4 feet in the county. So that's the beginning, and then look at the impact and come back, reassess it, and see if we need to go further. You can't just stop there, though. I think all of us agree that it goes beyond that. You got to look at the social service need as well, employment opportunity. got to put these people back to work so they can take care of their families and so forth, and address the social service issue. Now, to work with the county to do that, and the city council is having a public hearing on the 24th to address many of these issues relative to the social service needs. Thank you.
Thank you all. This next question will begin with Ms. Ferlita. We'll move to Mr. Buckhorn, and we'll end on Mayor Greco. Would you be willing to negotiate with the unions to bring the city pension arrangement more in line with private sector retirement plans?
I think overall that is the role of the mayor. We have to bring everything back into line with the private sectors. That's part of the problem we've had. I've never heard of in the private sector having someone accrue sick leave and vacation leave and continue to have it follow them for their whole 20 years in the city of Tampa. As far as I remember, when I was working for Jack Edgar Corporation, if I was sick, I got paid. If I wasn't sick that year, I didn't get to save it and bank it. And city employees are getting those things early on when they first start at a lower pay rate scale, and so that they just carry it to the end. The city cannot afford to do that. We will do something about it now.
Mr. Buckhorn.
Jeff, this is a complex issue, folks, and bear in mind we have two separate pensions. We have general employees and we have fire and police. They are funded separately, they react differently to the marketplace. The fire and police pension, and bear with me on this, the fire and police pension, because of the fact that we do not contribute Social Security to the men and women of the Tampa Police Department and Fire Department, and because of the performance of that pension fund over the last 25 years, it has been to the benefit of the taxpayers. We have paid less into that pension than we would have if we had been paying Social Security. General employees is an entirely different animal. Governor Scott is looking at a whole host of different plans that he is contemplating. Some of them include reduced multiplier, some of them include the inability to carry over sick leave. You cannot retroactively go back and tell somebody who you made a commitment to 25 years ago that somehow now you are going to reduce their pension benefits. That is immoral. They bargained on that, they retired based on that, that is the income that they are projecting in order to live their life. Now, retroactively for general employees, I think you can look at a whole different animal, but remember, you've got to separate the two of them and look at the two of them very differently.
Mr. Turanchik.
Three of the people who are running for mayor are the people who helped us get to where we are. I want everyone to understand that. I'm saying now they can fix the problem. And it's a tough problem, because you understand pension benefits are vested. You just can't take them away. So when Rose Ferlita says the first thing she's going to do is address pensions, understand it's covered by federal law. No one's going to take away anyone's pensions. I'm not. No one up here is going to do that. It is a complicated issue. I agree with Bob. And I agree with Dick. You're going to have to communicate with the unions. We can't, though, be in a situation where these legacy costs cost us and drive us into bankruptcy. We've seen that happen in Detroit. And everyone, the public employees and the taxpayers, have a vested interest in the system working. So we need to take a hard actuarial look at where things are going and determine whether or not it's sustainable. If it's not, we're going to have to retool it. And then when we retool it, we're going to look at all the options there. I'm a labor lawyer. I understand the issues. I know how to deal with them.
I think we all agree we cannot do anything just now because of where we are in the process. However, it can be addressed and it can be changed as you move forward with new employees as they come in. You can change that, move to some other type of pension or retirement program. Please understand that that is important, though, for the mayor to sit down and meet with the two different pension boards and their financial advisors and talk about how we can work together to move forward. Your pension has gone from $5 million to $8 million, $12 million. This year will be $41 million. So, and the charter says you pay that first. The charter said you pay that first. So it has to be addressed as we move forward in the next administration to talk about how do we bring forth new ideas and new plans with new employees that are coming on and meeting with those pension boards to look at the whole financial impact, because I'm telling you, if it continue to rise, it continue to place a big burden on the citizens and the taxpayers.
Mr. Greco.
Mr. Buckhorn was exactly right in describing how the pension fund works. When I was mayor the first time, the police and fire pension fund was down in the millions. It was almost defunct. We changed that. There were times there were no one on the list that wanted to be a cop. Today, they're doing a great job, and they have all along. The Fire and Police Pension Fund, for the last several years, they've been paying 5.9%. Now they're paying over 14. You're not going to change those. Everybody's correct to have said that. However, new people coming on probably going to have to be looked at in a whole different way. The governor's now looking at the plans of the state. He's trying to determine how much you save by doing this or that or what have. We have to do exactly the same thing. But the other thing we must do is communicate with these workers. The police department endorsed me. You know why? I told them I'm not promising you anything, but I'll be there for you like I was all the time. If you want to talk night and day, that's fine. And they took a vote, the department. They endorsed me. The reason for that, they know that each and every time I've been there, I've done exactly what I could do for them, and they do as quickly as anybody else. Don't let them read something that may diffuse what we're saying here. I think everybody's saying basically the same thing.